At the Christmas party, a watchman came up to my girlfriend and handed her something. She quickly hid it, not knowing that I had already seen everything. Then she went outside. When she came back, she was crying. I'm a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized shipping company in Dallas. Nothing glamorous. I handle routes, manage drivers, put out fires when shipments go wrong. It pays the bills, gives me weekends off, and up until 3 weeks ago, I thought my life was pretty solid. I'd been with Lauren for 2 years. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, hit it off immediately, moved in together after 8 months. She worked as a dental hygienist, always smelled faintly of mint and latex gloves when she got home. We weren't perfect, but we were good. Or so I thought. The company Christmas party was at this hotel ballroom downtown, the kind with too much red velvet and gold trim, a cash bar that ran out of decent whiskey by 9. Lauren wore this dark green dress that made her eyes look brighter than usual. She was in a good mood, laughing, holding my hand while we made small talk with my coworkers. Around 10:30, I went to grab us both another drink. The line was long. I was standing there, checking my phone, when I saw him. George, the night watchman from our apartment building. Older guy, maybe 60, always polite but kept to himself. I'd seen him plenty of times, nodding hello in the lobby, doing his rounds. But seeing him here, in a hotel ballroom full of my coworkers, felt wrong. Out of place. He walked straight up to Lauren. She was standing near the dessert table, scrolling through her phone. I watched him lean in, say something, then slip her a small white envelope. She took it fast, too fast, and shoved it into her purse before glancing around nervously. She didn't see me. George walked away like nothing happened. My stomach dropped. Lauren looked at her phone, then headed toward the exit. I abandoned the drink line and followed her outside. She was already halfway across the parking lot, standing under a streetlight, pulling the envelope out of her purse. Her hands were shaking. I stayed behind a column, watching. She opened it, read whatever was inside, and her face just collapsed. She covered her mouth with one hand, shoulders trembling. When she came back inside 10 minutes later, her eyes were red and swollen. She found me near the bar. "Hey, you okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just needed some air." Her voice cracked. She wouldn't look at me. I didn't push it. Not there. Not in front of everyone. But the whole ride home, she stared out the window in silence. And when we got back to our apartment, she went straight to the bedroom and locked the door. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, running through every possible explanation in my head. Was she cheating? Was someone threatening her? Was it about money? The more I thought about it, the worse the scenarios became. By the time dawn broke through the blinds, I'd convinced myself our entire relationship had been a lie. Update 1. The next morning, I waited until Lauren left for work. Then I tore the apartment apart looking for that envelope. I checked her purse, the trash, under the bed, in coat pockets, the bathroom cabinet, between the couch cushions. Nothing. She must have taken it with her or destroyed it. I even checked the kitchen garbage disposal, thinking maybe she'd ripped it up and washed it down. Still nothing. I couldn't focus at work. Every time my phone buzzed, I thought it'd be her, finally explaining. It never was. My boss asked me twice if I was feeling all right. I told him I was coming down with something. Around 3 in the afternoon, I texted Lauren, "We need to talk when you get home." She didn't respond for 2 hours. When she finally did, it was just, okay. When I got home that evening, she was already there, sitting on the couch with a glass of wine, staring at nothing. The TV wasn't on. The lights were dim. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept either. "We need to talk," I said, dropping my keys on the counter. She didn't respond. "I saw George last night. At the party. I saw him give you something." Her head snapped toward me. "You what?" "I saw him hand you an envelope. You went outside, read it, came back crying." "What the hell is going on, Lauren?" She put the wine glass down, hands trembling again. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Then she started crying. Not the quiet kind. The kind where you can't catch your breath, where your whole body shakes. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she whispered. "Find out what? It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." She stood up, pacing now, wringing her hands. "God, I've been dreading this conversation for months. I knew it would come eventually, but I kept hoping. I don't know what I was hoping for." "Lauren, just talk to me." She wiped her face with her sleeve. "You remember when I told you my mom was sick? Last year?" I nodded. "Her mom had some kind of surgery. Lauren flew out to Phoenix for a week to help her recover. I'd offered to come with her, but she said it was better if she went alone, that her mom didn't want a lot of people around. She needed money. A lot of it. Her insurance wouldn't cover everything. The hospital bills were insane, and she was already behind on her mortgage. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to ask you because we just moved in together and you were already paying more rent than me, and I felt like, Lauren, just say it. I borrowed money. From someone. Who? A guy George knows. Alone. Off the books. My blood went cold. How much? 12,000. Jesus Christ, Lauren. I know. I thought I could pay it back. I've been paying it back, little by little, but the interest, it's insane. Like 20% compounded monthly or something. And now, she broke down again. Now they want the rest. By the end of the month. Or what? George said they're getting impatient. That's what the note was. A reminder. A warning. They said if I don't pay, they'll... She couldn't finish the sentence. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you ask me for help? Because I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want you to think I couldn't handle my own problems. My dad always called me irresponsible, said I'd never make it on my own, and I wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to prove I could fix this myself. So instead you took a loan from some shady loan shark and hid it from me for a year? She didn't answer. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face. I grabbed my keys. Where are you going? To talk to George. Wait, don't. Please. They said not to make waves, not to. I don't care what they said. Update 2. George wasn't on duty when I got downstairs. The lobby was empty except for the front desk clerk, some kid I'd never seen before, scrolling through his phone. I asked when George would be back. He works nights. Should be in around 11. I went back upstairs. Lauren was sitting in the same spot on the couch, still crying. I sat down next to her, not saying anything for a while. The silence was heavy, suffocating. How much do you still owe? I finally asked. 8,000. And what happens if you don't pay? I don't know. George said, they don't mess around. He wouldn't give me specifics, but the way he looked at me, she shuddered. I'm scared. I spent the rest of that night trying to figure out how we could scrape together 8 grand in 3 weeks. My savings had maybe 4,000. Lauren had almost nothing. She'd been funneling every spare dollar into the loan payments. We could sell her car, maybe, but it was a 2015 Honda with 140,000 miles on it. We'd be lucky to get 3 grand for it. I thought about asking my brother, but we hadn't spoken in 2 years after a fight about something I couldn't even remember anymore. Something stupid about Thanksgiving dinner and whose turn it was to host. At 11:15, I went back downstairs. George was at his desk in the security office, sipping coffee from a thermos, watching the security monitors. Hey, George. He looked up, and for a second, I saw something flash across his face. Guilt, maybe. Or pity. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual polite smile. Evening. Can we talk? About Lauren? His smile faded. He glanced at the monitors, then gestured to a chair. I sat. She told you, he said. It wasn't a question. Yeah, she told me. Look, I'm just the messenger. I know a guy who helps people out when they're in a bind. That's all. I put them in touch, and I pass along messages when necessary. I don't make the rules. A loan shark. George shrugged. Call it what you want. Your girlfriend needed money fast. Banks wouldn't give her a loan. Her credit's shot, apparently. My guy gave it to her, no questions asked. Now she owes him. That's how it works. She's been paying. Not fast enough. The interest compounds. Most people don't understand that when they sign up. What happens if she doesn't pay by the deadline? George looked uncomfortable. He set his thermos down and leaned back in his chair. You don't want to know. Yeah, I do. He sighed, rubbing his temples. They'll make her work it off. Work it off how? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The look on his face told me everything. I felt bile rise in my throat. I stood up. Tell your guy we'll have the money. By the end of the month. George nodded slowly. I hope so. For her sake. These guys, they're not violent, usually, but they're persistent. They'll make her life hell until she pays up one way or another. We'll have it. Good. And hey, he stood up too. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have connected her to them in the first place. But she was desperate, and I thought I was helping. I didn't respond. I just walked out. Update 3. I spent the next 2 weeks doing everything I could think of. I picked up extra shifts at work, volunteered for overnight inventory checks that paid time and a half. I sold my Xbox and my bike on Facebook Marketplace. I pawned my dad's old watch, the one he'd given me before he died. That hurt more than I expected. The pawnbroker gave me $600 for it. It was worth at least $2,000, but I didn't have time to negotiate. Lauren did the same. Picked up weekend shifts at a second dental office across town, sold jewelry, clothes, anything worth money. We barely spoke during those 2 weeks. Every conversation turned into a fight. "This is my fault," she kept saying. "Yeah, it is. You don't have to be cruel about it. You lied to me for a year, Lauren. You put us both in danger. What do you want me to say? That it's fine? That I'm not angry? I want you to forgive me. I don't know if I can." One night, she came home from her shift at the second office, looking completely drained. She dropped her purse on the floor and collapsed onto the couch. "How much do we have?" she asked. $5,800. "That's not enough." "I know. What are we going to do?" "I don't know, Lauren. I'm trying." She started crying again. I wanted to comfort her, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Part of me was still too angry, too hurt. By the third week, we had $6,000. Still too short. I was lying in bed one night, staring at the ceiling, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Hello. Is this Lauren's boyfriend?" A man's voice. Calm. Almost friendly. Like he was calling to sell me insurance. "Who is this?" "A friend. George gave me your number. I hear you've been working hard to pay off her debt. We're getting the money." "That's good. That's real good. I appreciate people who take their obligations seriously. But I wanted to call and introduce myself. Let you know there's no hard feelings. Business is business, you know. We'll have it by the deadline. I'm sure you will. But just so we're clear, if you don't, Lauren's gonna have to make it right some other way. You understand what I'm saying?" "Yeah, I understand." "Good. Oh, and one more thing. Don't even think about going to the cops. That'd be a real mistake. For both of you. I know where you live. I know where you work. I know your routines. So let's keep this friendly, okay?" He hung up. I told Lauren about the call the next morning. She went pale, gripping the kitchen counter like she might collapse. "We have to get the money," she whispered. "We have to." "I know. What if we can't?" "We will." But I wasn't sure I believed it. The day before the deadline, we had $7,200. I'd called in every favor I could think of. My coworker Greg loaned me $500 after I told him some vague story about a family emergency. Lauren's sister sent $300 via Venmo, no questions asked. It wasn't enough. That night, I sat down with Lauren at the kitchen table. We'd been avoiding each other for days, but this couldn't wait. "There's one more option," I said. "What?" "I call my brother. Ask him for $2,000. She shook her head. "You haven't spoken to him in 2 years." "I know. He's not going to help. Not after everything that happened." "Maybe, but it's the only shot we've got." She looked at me for a long moment. "If you do this, you're never going to forgive me. You're going to resent me for the rest of our lives." "Probably, but at least you'll be safe." I called him. It went to voicemail. I left a message, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hey, it's me. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I need your help. It's urgent. Please call me back." 10 minutes later, he called back. "This better be important," he said. His voice was cold. "It is. I need your help." I explained everything. The loan, the deadline, the threats. When I finished, there was a long silence. "Are you serious right now?" he finally said. "Yeah. You want me to give you $2,000 because your girlfriend took a loan from a loan shark and didn't tell you about it? I know how it sounds." "No, I don't think you do. You cut me out of your life over nothing, and now you want money? You didn't come to Dad's funeral. You didn't answer my calls for 6 months. And now you want me to bail you out. I'm not asking for me. I'm asking because if we don't pay, something bad is going to happen to her. Please. I'll pay you back. I swear." Another silence. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. "Fine," he said finally. "I'll send it. But after this, we're done. For real this time. Don't call me again. Thank you." He hung up. The money hit my account the next morning. I met George in the parking lot at noon. He handed me a slip of paper with an address scrawled on it. "Go there at 6. Bring cash. All of it. Count it twice before you go. Will Lauren be safe after this? If you bring the full amount, yeah, they'll leave her alone. And if we're short?" He didn't answer. Final update. The address was a warehouse on the east side of town, near the old industrial district where half the buildings were abandoned. I drove there alone. Lauren wanted to come, but I told her to stay home. If something went wrong, I didn't want her there. The place looked abandoned, broken windows, graffiti on the walls, weeds growing through cracks in the pavement. I parked in the empty lot and walked to the side entrance. A guy in a black hoodie was standing there, smoking a cigarette. He looked me up and down. "You here for the payment?" "Yeah." He stubbed out his cigarette and opened the door. Inside. Second door on the right. The interior was dim, lit only by a few overhead lights. It smelled like rust and old oil. I found the second door, knocked, and a voice told me to come in. The man from the phone was sitting at a table, counting money from a duffel bag. He looked up when I walked in. Mid-40s, expensive suit, slick back hair. He looked more like a banker than a loan shark. "You're punctual. I like that," he said, smiling. "George said you were reliable." I put the envelope of cash on the table. 8,000. "We're square." He picked it up, counted it slowly, methodically. When he finished, he smiled wider. "Yeah, we're square. Lauren's debt is paid in full." That's it. That's it. "Tell your girlfriend she's lucky to have you." Most guys would have walked away. I turned to leave. "Hey," he called after me. "Word of advice? Don't let her borrow money like this again. Next time, you might not be able to dig her out." I left without saying another word. When I got home, Lauren was waiting by the door. The second I walked in, she threw her arms around me, sobbing into my chest. "It's over," I said. "You're safe. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I'll never do anything like this again. I swear." But even as she said it, I knew something had broken between us. I could feel it in the way I held her, stiff, distant. The trust was gone. Every time I looked at her now, all I could think about was the lie. The years she'd spent hiding it. The danger she'd put us both in. 2 weeks later, I moved out. We didn't fight about it. We both knew it was over. I packed my things while she was at work, left my key on the counter with a note that just said, "I hope you're okay. Take care of yourself." Last I heard, she moved back to Phoenix to be closer to her mom. I haven't spoken to her since. I blocked her number after she sent me a dozen texts apologizing, begging for another chance. I couldn't do it. Every time I thought about forgiving her, I remembered that phone call. The threats. The fear. The way my hands shook when I handed over that envelope. I still see George sometimes when I'm leaving for work. He nods. I nod back. Neither of us says anything. There's nothing left to say. I don't know what the moral of this story is. Maybe it's about honesty. Maybe it's about asking for help before things spiral out of control. Or maybe it's just about the fact that some mistakes are too big to come back from, no matter how much you love someone. All I know is, I'm done being the guy who fixes other people's problems. I'm done being the safety net for people who won't be honest with me. Next time, if there is a next time, I'm walking away at the first sign of a lie. My brother and I haven't reconciled. He sent me a text a month after everything went down. Just said, "Hope you're doing better." I replied with thanks. "I owe you." He never responded. Maybe someday I'll reach out, try to fix what I broke. But not yet. I'm still too tired. Edit 1. A few people asked if I ever reconciled with my brother. Not really. He sent me that one text, and that was it. I've thought about calling him, especially around the holidays, but I don't know what I'd say. "Sorry, I only reached out when I needed money." It sounds hollow no matter how I phrase it. Edit 2. For anyone wondering, yes, I know I should have walked away sooner. Hindsight's 2020. At the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought love meant staying, even when things got hard. Now I know better.